All right, welcome into another edition of the 2023 MLB Draft Show. And for my money, it's early. It's October, Chase. We may have the first pitcher off the board here in July, but that's a long ways away. We got another college baseball season in front of us. Chase Dollander, University of Tennessee. Evans, Georgia's product. Chase, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's just kick things off the way I like to always kick things off. Why don't you tell the viewers, tell the listeners who's Chase Dollander? Tell them a little bit about who you are on the bump, but more importantly, what do you like to do off the field?
Yeah, so as a baseball player, I'm kind of the guy that just kind of works silently, I would say. I'm not really the kind of guy to kind of boast about everything that I've accomplished or that I'm doing, or kind of training wise and stuff like that. On the mound, I would say I'm really really focused on what I'm trying to do. Really really trying to execute the plan that I have set in place for the other team. And then I just have this mentality of like, here it is, you can't hit it kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of pitchers need to adapt that mentality in order to kind of excel them into the higher tiers of pitching. But off the field, I love anything outdoors. I would call myself a religious person. I spend a lot of time with Jesus and Christ and stuff like that. I love my family to death. They mean the world to me. And then I like to spend time with friends, so can't really complain about any of that.
Fairly low key.
Yeah, really low key. I don't really do too much.
I like it. I like it. Well, for those that don't know Chase Dollander, I mean, we're talking about a mid 90s up to high 90s fastball, wipeout slider, curveball changeup, both coming on. But it wasn't always like that, Chase. Like you said, we spoke a little bit before this interview, and velo came a little bit late.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about junior and senior year of high school and how you ended up at Georgia Southern to start your college career.
Right. So I mean, my junior year of high school was probably more of an average one, I guess you could say. It was kind of one of those things where I was just kind of sitting 88, 90, not really on everybody's radar kind of thing. I didn't really do perfect game tournaments or anything like that. I just didn't really put myself out there like a lot of people do. And then my senior year comes around and I signed to Georgia Southern because that was one of my only offers, like I said. And then I just start gaining velocity and really working on getting into my lower half and using my lower half that I had at the time, to be able to throw harder and stuff like that. And that's kind of really when I started to blow up, on radars and stuff like that. And I started to get calls from minor league or some scouts and stuff like that. And it started to kind of get really real for me. And then COVID hit, and so my whole senior year was just kind of washed out, and the 5-round draft happened. I didn't get picked up, so I went to Georgia Southern.
Makes sense. I understand there were some scouts. I've talked to some scouts that are pretty upset that they didn't get the chance. I mean, their general manager, their scouting director, they didn't pull the trigger. You're on their board.
Right.
They saw what it could become, but they didn't pull the trigger. So you go to Georgia Southern, you put in work,
Mm.
add 15 pounds, add 20 pounds. All of a sudden, you're 93, 95.
Yep.
So enter the transfer portal,
Right.
end up with an opportunity to go to Tennessee. I mean, you've taken it to another level now. What do you kind of attribute the extra velo gains
Yeah.
to since you've arrived in Knoxville?
To be honest with you, the extra velo would just become more of fine tuning my mechanics and stuff like that, along with kind of becoming more lean, just so my body can move better and be put in different positions that allow myself to, gain that extra velo and stuff like that. So I give a lot of credit to my strength coach. He really pushed me when I first came in that fall, and he kind of saw what I could be. And me and him, or him and I, had a lot of talks and stuff like that about what could happen. And I just kind of took that and ran with it. And then Coach A, he never really gave up on me. He saw what I could be as well, and he told me that I could be a really good part of this program. And so I kind of took that and ran with it, and just kind of put my head down and worked as hard as I could. That's probably at some points worked a little too hard. Probably ran my body to the ground a little bit too much, but it all became worth it.
You speak about Coach A, you spoke about religion. A lot of people think Frank Anderson's pitching staffs are religion. I mean, the way that you go about things on the bump with that guy at the helm. I mean, what is Frank Anderson unlocked in you?
He just kind of keeps it really simple, to be honest with you. He has his pitching plan, and I know there's a lot of pitching plans out there that it could be 14, 15 pages long, but his is two.
Nice.
Basically, what it is just throw strikes, and we'll kind of go from there. And if you don't, you probably won't pitch here. That's kind of what he says. And that's a really fair point because in order to be successful, you got to throw strikes. But but yeah, he just keeps everything really simple. His pitching, um, his like, what am I trying to say? His pitch calling, there it is. His pitch calling is very simple and very easy to follow for us, but it still kind of throws hitters off because I mean he will throw in things that you don't expect, but we have complete trust in him and he has complete trust in us, and it just kind of works.
Well, let's talk a little bit more macro. University of Tennessee, quite a culture, quite a personality and
Right,
attitude in Knoxville and Rocky Top. You recently mentioned in another interview that the University of Tennessee, if you're facing the University of Tennessee, you're going to war, and war can be brutal.
right.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like the all of the sports on campus, we kind of have this adapted mentality of just kind of give it your all, and to that point, like facing us, it can be it can be really challenging sometimes, especially with our fan base. Our
Hmm.
fan base can get insane sometimes. I mean, you saw what happened at Ole Miss last year with the football team. You saw what happened against Alabama a week ago now. I mean,
Yeah,
it's really really crazy, and this fan base loves us, and it really like kind of contributes to our mentality on the field and how we play because we like to play hard, and with the fans and stuff like that behind us, it just makes us want to play harder.
I was half expecting a piece of that crossbar to be in the background of this interview. I thought you were going to have it plastered up on the
Oh
wall.
no, no, no! I'd probably get in a lot of trouble if I was on that. But
Big win, big win. I want to dive into tech a little bit because kind of one of the principles of our side, at least, is kind of qualifying why something works. Do you get into the tech? Do you get into TrackMan, Rapsodo? Do you like to understand the numbers as to why your stuff is working?
So Coach A, like I said, Coach A is very simple when he coaches. I mean, he likes the data, but he doesn't want us to be exposed to too much because then it can lead to problems like in the way we think. Like we could throw a bad pitch and be like, oh, the spin axis or whatever was off, my spin rate's down or something like that. But at the end of the day, you just kind of have to go out there and compete with what you got that day. And that's just kind of what he has instilled in us. But personally, I really like looking into the analytics of stuff like that, and just kind of seeing how my stuff is moving, why it's moving like that. And I feel like it can be really beneficial if you take it to a certain point. But if you could kind of pass that point, there comes a point in time where it can really like put a detriment on your pitching because you're kind of thinking about it too much.
For sure, for sure. All right, so what's next for you? Because you got 4 months until baseball
Yep.
starts. Obviously, you got a ramp up coming up, but you got any personal goals, physical goals? Like, what does this winter look like for Chase Dollander?
Yeah, so I mean, I just kind of have this idea in my mind that I just want to put on some weight and just kind of see where that takes me. Obviously, the goal is always to gain a little bit more velo if I can. I'd like to be sitting 98 to 100. That's kind of what my goal in mind is. I mean,
It's wicked.
I know a lot of people probably can't say the same thing, but everybody has different goals and for their own bodies and stuff like that. But I feel like I can do that, and and to be honest with you, I will, in my opinion, just because I know how hard I can work, and I know what it can take and what it will take to be able to do that. But other than that, kind of going off the pitches, I really want to use my curveball and my changeup a lot more this season. Just kind of use those kind of so I have a legitimate four pitch mix rather than just use my fastball slider most of the time. And so that's just kind of where we are right now, just working on sharpening up the curveball and using changeup more.
How about the University of Tennessee? Obviously, you guys had a huge year last year. You
Right.
fell a little short, I'm sure, of what the program was hoping to accomplish. But what's the goal for 2023?
Obviously, win a national championship. I mean, I feel like you talk to anybody else, and that's going to be their same goal for their college. I mean that's just one thing that we have in mind, and we know we can do it. So it's just the fact of putting in the work in.
So I'll leave you with this last question regarding the baseball field, and then we'll get to some wackier questions, if you will. But you know, Evans, Georgia, lightly recruited. You've had such a unique adventure journey to where you are now. I'm sure you see the tweets and the headlines and everything that's in between. How weird is it to see comparisons and what could be?
It's really weird, to be honest with you. And if I'm being completely honest, I try not to look at that stuff because the comparisons are great, yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm my own person. I mean, I'm not. I've seen one comparison of Jacob deGrom. I'm not Jacob deGrom. I'm Chase Dollander. Like that's just kind of how I keep my mind like straight and stuff like that. To go off the headlines, like I said, I just try not to pay attention to that stuff as much as I can. But it does come up, and you just kind of have to remember what got you to that point, and just keep working. I mean, that's really all you really can do because those headlines will come and you will see them. So you just kind of have to keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, head down and grind. That's all you can do, right? All
Exactly.
right, so we'll leave you with 3 more questions. These are a little bit wackier, kind of off
Okay.
the field, kind of on the field questions, but do you have a little sister, older sister? Do you have a sister?
I do not have a sister.
Okay. If you had a sister,
Okay.
um, USA Baseball, University of Tennessee, who's the one player that you're not letting date your sister?
One player on Tennessee I wouldn't let date my sister would be Kyle Booker, for sure.
Kyle Booker.
Kyle Booker, for sure.
I like it. All right, so what's the flip side of that? Who's the good guy of the program?
The good guy of the program. Let me think 1 second. I gotta think around the locker room a little bit.
Can't give too much credit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, hmm. I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay, okay. All right, I'll leave
Um,
you. I'll hit you with this. I'll hit you
okay.
with this. You don't want to give too much credit to anyone, right?
Right, right, right.
SEC. You've played in the SEC now for quite some time. You've played in front of some pretty big fan bases. Was there a fan base? And this is a good chance for you to throw shade. Was there a fan base where you're like, boy, I was kind of expecting a little bit more out of these fans?
Um, I'd probably say Alabama a little bit. I know they
Oh,
came. I know they came to our place, but um, I just always heard that their fans can be rowdy at times, and I didn't really hear them all that much. But not trying to throw shade at anybody, but that's just kind of one that kind of popped up in my head. And obviously, I got hurt that game, so
yeah,
I only got to
comebacker.
experience one inning of it. So
Yeah, yeah. We actually had Grayson Hit on the show yesterday, and Alabama, and he mentioned Vanderbilt. So I
oh
mean,
yeah, well
anyone.
Tennessee Vanderbilt's kind of a big game, so
You don't want to start any rivalries on this show.
right, right.
All right, man. We'll leave you with one last question. It stumps everyone. Take your time. What is the one fact that you know about anything? Doesn't have to be baseball related. Just an interesting fact that not a lot of people know.
Oh man. Trying to really think about my classes I'm taking right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't know why I know this, but McDonald's once made bubblegum flavored broccoli. I feel like I learned that somewhere, and I just kind of took it and ran with it.
Wait, wait. What? I have a lot of questions, bro.
I do too.
So wait, when did McDonald's serve broccoli?
That's
When did they
one
decide it was
question.
a good idea to make it taste like bubble gum?
Who knows?
Oh, I'm so glad that stopped.
Yeah, I guess just so more people will eat it. I don't know.
I'm not eating that. I don't know about you, dude. I
Absolutely.
don't know. I want nothing to do with that. Chase Dollander, University of Tennessee, dude. I'm pumped to see, I guess, 98 to 100 in the spring. It should be a good time, man.
Let's do
Go
it.
out there, win a national championship. We're rooting for you.
Let's do it. I appreciate it.
All right, man.